Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Getting weird on a Wednesday. I have a special treat for you today on the podcast. None other than a fellow comedian, my good buddy, Russell Samler. Ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
What's up, man?
Thanks
I haven't talked to you in a
bud.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, first off, how's Texas?
Texas, you know, we were talking about it for the podcast. I was like, we should for sure talk about this on the pod.
Yeah.
You had asked me if people in Texas, they would like pressure you to not wear masks and stuff, how different it is.
Right.
It is so different than what you think it is because everybody wears masks here. Everybody.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen one person pressure someone. I've seen a few off people not wearing a mask indoors, but it's like one out of every 200.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
The reports
so
we're getting back in Cali is like Texas is a free for all. No one's wearing a mask. You know, the crazy Texans. They did have all the people at the Texas home opener, the baseball game. I don't know if you saw that. It was at full capacity. Yeah, like 40,000 people. Yes.
No mask, just a super spreader.
I didn't see it. I saw all zoomed out of the thing, and it's like, but hearing you like be there, because in Cali, like I've been pressured in certain settings, like getting back into comedy. Everyone else is not wearing a mask. Yeah, and I'm like, should I? I want to fit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was actually one wing spot that I went to, and no one was wearing a mask, and I was like, all right, I guess we're not doing this here. It is a weird thing, the social norm of wearing a mask and then feeling the pressure of not wearing a mask and then feeling the pressure to wear a mask. Like,
right. Where do you sit? Are you kind of like blending in as each setting dictates? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it goes as far as like, with the survival rate and with the current situation and the people that I'm around, like if I'm going to be around anybody who's at risk, like before in California, I wouldn't really do anything just because my parents being around, my girl's grandparents and stuff like that. I was like, I got to be responsible here. But here in Texas, I'm like,
you don't have any of that.
I don't have to attend any funerals I'm responsible for. That's on them. No,
just the occasional random one you'll go.
Yeah. I just feel it. I'll send a gift card. And I fall into that where it's just like I be responsible. If I do get symptoms or anything like that, I'm gonna be smart.
Have you been stabbed, like vaxxed? I mean.
Oh no.
Do you feel comfortable talking about that? Like,
I'm fine talking about it.
Will you get vaxxed or are you good?
No, I'm good without getting it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, dude, where it's like I'm definitely waiting. And I even got a new joke I'm working on where it's like when you bring that up where you're like even nervous or comprehensive about the shot, I've been asked if I'm in QAnon about 4 times.
Yeah, no.
I have no affiliation, but I just have a few questions and concerns. You know what I mean? And,
that's been a crazy thing because I feel like comedians by nature are very observant of society and social norms. And because like that's literally the job of a comedian is to take an everyday experience and be like, what's odd about this? And I feel like everybody's zoomed in on how weird it is and cult-like and zero gray area for having an opinion.
Oh, pretty
either
much.
direction, and it's like if you don't want to get vaccinated, they're like, oh, so you like killing people's grandparents, and you're like, whoa, it's not that simple,
Or you're just a hardcore crazy conspiracy theorist, like sitting in your shed, which I am in my shed right now, but like, but I mean, like they just lump all of it together, like with flat earthers and just being concerned about putting this new drug into my body. It's like, just to have a few questions about the people in charge in these billion-dollar companies, and people are like, oh dude, you'll be fine. Yeah, like don't worry about it. It's like I'm a little worried about it,
Yeah, I think it is a crazy system, and it is kind of crazy that people go so hard into you need to get vaccinated, you need to save lives. And it's like I always hate virtue signaling. Like whenever in this past year we've seen so much fucking virtue signaling on social media. Some of it for good cause. There's people who really, there's things to stand up for. And then there's some people where you're like, I know you just want brownie points. I know you're posting this because it feels good to have everybody say, go you. You know, you're on the right side of history. And it's right. Now I'm seeing people with the vaccination slips doing that too, where they're like, I'm part of the solution.
I don't get that, where it's like they're posting, like it's kind of like a private discussion in a way, like your medical, like what you feel medically and what you're doing with, you know, these type of decisions. And again, the vax is a little different discussion, but you know, I've read this article, I was listening to people talk about LeBron James isn't coming forward with this decision. And I think it's actually really responsible of him.
Yeah.
Like whether he's getting it or not, because he is a huge influence and he realizes it. And it should be a personal choice, you know, individually, I believe. So it's like, again, outweigh like individually what you think is right. If you're comfortable taking it, which, dude, honestly, most people I know, most of my family have gotten it. They're comfortable taking it. You know, me and my wife are a little more apprehensive, dude. So it's like, we're not taking it, but we're also kind of like you said, being safe. And if I'm symptomatic, I'm not going to go like hug and kiss my mom and my dad, shit like that. But yeah, like you said, this whole last year is kind of just, you know, you can't have an opinion that's not okay with the majority opinion about anything. And again, it's as a comedian, like it feels a little weird. Like we do open mics where people say pretty insane stuff, you know? So, you know, but hearing people get triggered at those open mics is getting a little weird, you know?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And this is something that I kind of thought was going to go away. I don't know if you ever heard the bit I did before where I would talk about having to date during the Great Depression. And I was talking about how, like, we need a good world war, or I said something like, I forgot what it was like, or an apocalypse to get people to appreciate the basic things again. And it's I thought,
I believe I remember that. That's a funny bit.
And thank you. And I feel like I thought in the beginning of the pandemic, like kind of like with 9/11, I was pretty young with 9/11, but it felt like people came together. Everybody was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of silly shit that doesn't matter in life. And we're all just focused on silly shit. Let's get back to like fixing our country or just like our relationships with each other. I thought that was going to happen with the pandemic. I was like, oh good, this is going to put people in perspective of life and death. And we're going to lose some of the silly shit. But the silly shit doubled down. Like, I feel like, I don't know what it was, but I thought cancel culture was going to kind of go away a bit, but it's never been greater, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean with anything. It's like what they're quick, like even with accusations that may or not be true. But like you said, some of it has been good. You know, where it's like some of this stuff, like the Me Too stuff, were these really horrible predators that should have been fucking put away fucking 30 years ago, bro. You know what I mean? That should have happened. You know what I mean? But then again, where it gets down to the more minutia little things where it's, again, you can't just have an opinion, or everyone, like you said, with the Vax card needs to express their opinion on social media. I think that's the hugest one. You mentioned like 9/11, where it's like, we all didn't have smartphones posting our political opinion.
That's a very good point.
You know, I think it's like, the pandemic, I think, did bring a lot of people together, and was like, fuck, man. Like, I was really worried about losing family members at first. So it did make me look at things a little different at first. But if you're watching mainstream media and the politics, that wasn't the sense. You know, they make it seem like it's batshit crazy all the time, which, you know, again, it kind of is. But
no,
you know.
Dude, especially in the beginning, it felt like M. Night Shyamalan wrote The Pandemic the way.
Dude, that's
it was in the wind.
Big movie fan too, so yeah, that's a great analogy. Like these crazy twists, fucking every other week, dude.
Yeah, you know. I thought COVID-19 was hiding on my Amazon packages. You know,
oh, I thought that too. Yeah, when I'd get them, I'd like leave them in the sun, like because I read that the sun would kill it. Yeah, and then like wipe everything down. I remember I bought some tools. You know, like a couple saws, like big things, and I like disinfected them and left them outside in the sun. It did some like pretty batshit OCD type of things. Yeah, looking back on it, but it was like, yeah, dude, I think it affected everyone. Like, you know, your mental health, like one way or another.
Dude, I'll be honest, man. That first week, there was some sense of giddiness to it, where it was like, whoa, I get to just hang out inside for a week. This is kind of crazy. I'm gonna watch Joe Exotic. What's this all about?
Dude, you fucking nailed it, bro. I have this joke, and that's how I started. I'm like, you guys remember the Tiger King?
Yeah.
Like, that was because that was the beginning of the pandemic, and it felt like summer camp. It's what I felt like, where it's like, we're all gonna go watch Joe Exotic for a week, and we're all gonna come back to the work, whatever force, and you know, talk about these crazy rednecks smoking meth and tigers for, you know, but that didn't go away. Whereas like, you know, it's been a year and a half in a year and 2 months or whatever it's been.
Yeah. On the vaccines, did you see about the Johnson & Johnson one and the blood clots that they had to stop?
I just read a little thing again. And here's the thing. There's so much information out there. It's like, it seemed like a credible thing and a credible article that I read. And it was just one of those things. Like my buddy got it and he got it right away. And I was like, hey man, I just wouldn't get anything first go round, like the first iPhone, the first PlayStation. Like you want vaccine 4.0. Like you want
exactly.
If you're gonna get it, wait. You know what I'm saying? And everyone, I just think the information that's out there, it's like skewed about the long-term studies and it's safe and this and it's like we don't know. This is all brand new. And for good or worse, I'm not smart enough to tell you what's really going on. I'm just saying there are probably going to be some problems with the vax at first that they're going to fix, and then in a year or two, it's probably going to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, like anything else, like the iPhones, like PlayStation. I don't like to make it light of it, but it's a comedic podcast in a way.
Dude, yeah. And that's the thing is like you're applying common sense to like you kind of like when you're buying a car, buying a house, whatever you're doing, you kind of run it through a mill of just like rationale and common sense.
Sure.
And like, isn't it crazy that some people don't want to apply that to something as important as like health side effects?
Well, dude, you're actually a more fit guy that works out, trains, jujitsu. Like you're a pretty in shape, bad dude. Like, you know what I mean? Physically.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'd be fine even if you got COVID. But I think if, like, as you see, like the majority of people are kind of ignorant to what's healthy to eat, how to take care of their body. They kind of just, don't realize they're eating shitty food and don't realize they're not taking care of themselves. And so when a bad disease that's affecting your breathing and immune system, which COVID is, or the flu is, it can fuck those people up really bad.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing is the finding, we were talking about the black and white and the gray area, is we got to find somewhere where to meet in the middle of it makes sense to not shut everything down and protect the people that are at risk. And there's there has to be some level of like self-accountability and responsibility because we're like shucking it to these higher ups, like, oh, the government's got to take care of this.
But they don't. That if you look at their track record and just anything, anywhere in any history, like the government, no, they usually do a shitty job. Like they're overwhelmed. And like, again, they're not, I mean, we don't, it's just, I don't think they've done a good job for a while, like my whole life. So I don't want to just shit on anyone specifically or any party, but it's like, you kind of have to be, like you said, individual accountability is really should be a thing and discussed more. Like with your health, you're relying on the government to take care of your individual. That's never been my mentality. And that's pretty crazy to have that mentality. It's like, dude, it's your decision, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's what foods you eat, whether you smoke cigarettes, whether you drink alcohol, honestly. And even if you choose to use other recreational drugs, I think that's your choice. Yeah. And you should just be informed on what the fuck you're doing to yourself.
Yeah. The education.
Right.
I don't know if you knew it, but I went to nursing school. I have a bachelor's in nursing.
Oh, no, I didn't. So, you know way more than most and definitely more than me. Yeah.
But that was the big thing. And I literally remember the moment in pharmacology class where I was like, I can't fucking do this job because I would argue with the teachers and I'd just be like, why aren't we pushing nutrition and health and all this stuff? And I remember a teacher was like, focus on your scope of work where you administer the pills and that's your job. And I'm like, I'm out. Because there are so many cases, like people want to call, there are pre-existing conditions, but people want to call like diabetes and obesity and all these things that are tethered to responsibility and, education and health and fitness. Like, dude, I don't work out just because it's fun. I hate fucking working out just like everybody else. I love fucking cheese, dude. I could just sit in my room and eat fucking cheese all day.
Yeah.
But it's like, I do that because I'm like, I never want to have to take pills. I never want to have to, be a victim of healthcare. Because, dude, it's not pretty, man. It is a dark world. And when you see people in long-term care and they're on a cycle of pills that, and it starts out, and that's the thing, people think, healthcare, it's just a business. Like, that's what I learned was like, most pills are for profit. A lot of the stuff people take, like 70% of pharmacology is business based off what you're taking to deal with the side effects for something you either caught in the hospital or the side effects from the pills that you're getting from the hospital. And it's just like, it's a rigged game, man.
Oh, dude, to bring it full circle. So I worked when I was in college, I worked as a pharmacy technician for like 5 or 6 years, like during the height of the opiate pandemic.
Ooh.
So like all of the things you're saying are spot on. And like I said, I worked at a pharmacy. And to bring it full circle for your point is like what you're saying about the drugs. Pfizer, right? One of the made one of the vaccines. They also make a lot of the simvastatin drugs and things like that. For, I think it's blood pressure, right?
Yeah.
Or cholesterol is what it is. One of the side effects of that is like your erectile dysfunction. Their other biggest seller is a Viagra.
Oh, dude.
You see what I mean? It's not
create a problem to make a solution.
Right. Well, it's not like you're saying, it's not like for the good of the people. And these are the people making these vaccines. So to me, I was like, hey man, I'm a little, you're suspect, I think.
Oh yeah.
These big time companies and like Oxycontin, like at the time, like I said, when I worked there, and back to your point about like personal responsibility, everyone kept blaming the doctors for all these people getting hooked on drugs. But it's like, dude, I felt like these younger kids knew what they were doing. Like, you know what I mean? They were going in to score these drugs, and it's a sad thing. I'm not discrediting that, but it's like there is a personal responsibility. You know what I mean? Like of the doctor, maybe of the patient. We're like, hey, you're taking these hardcore narcotics. You might be addicted to these in a couple of weeks to a month. Like you're definitely going to have an addiction to these that you need to now address. Which I don't think that was discussed, and everyone blames the doctors. But it's like, dude, nowadays, if you talk to any doctor, like getting medication out, like pain medication it's gone completely the other way, where it's almost impossible to get people who need it medicine.
Yeah,
it's just this weird thing now.
That's nuts, dude. So you worked there at the height of the opiate crisis.
Yeah, dude. We're so not Cottage Hospital Pharmacy, but Sanson Clinic is across the street from Cottage Hospital, which is the biggest hospital in Santa Barbara. Like in that whole area, dude, it's a massive, huge farm. Like not our pharmacy, but ours is smaller, but we'd see a lot of business. Dude, we did it was crazy the amount of business and the amount of pills we sold. And at first, like I was this naive 18, 19-year-old kid, like, dude, I'm doing the world, like, doing a service, you know,
helping people with their pain.
Yeah. And within a few weeks to a month, that went away where I realized like, oh, I'm just selling drugs to people.
In a coat.
Because like you know me, dude, I've been selling the smoke of weed since I was 16. So I understand the difference between the two. And yeah, dude, the Oxycontin and the soccer moms getting their Xanax on Friday. Because that's right next to Montecito where like Oprah lives and shit. Yeah, we dealt with those people. Like the Karens before it was popular, I dealt with them on a regular basis.
Man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's honestly, it's crazy when you start thinking about all this stuff, and even like the opiates, it's like, it is literally a symptom of a bigger problem where it's like, what is driving people to want to take opiates so much? Like, where is the unhappiness set up?
I think personally, it's a lot of mental health stuff, dude, that's not addressed, where there was like abuse or some shit. Because I've always like messed around with drugs, like tried them, but never like was like a fucking junkie. But the people I knew that became that way, like they had other bad shit happen to them.
Yeah.
Where it's like now they're masking that. Like same with alcoholics that like, hey, I drink and I'm able to just not drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you see me, like I'll go pretty hard, but then I'm like, dude, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm an addict. But yeah, usually what I've noticed and heard and in my research, seeing this, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of like mental health issues that these people should be in like therapy or something for. And then doing drugs, it doesn't help anything, you know?
Yeah. And there's businesses that are they know this.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You know, it's like when Amazon Fire Stick, I'm sure you know you can jailbreak them and like put other things on them to watch anything you want.
All right, we'll talk about that.
I don't know about any of that.
Off recording. Okay. So I have one. I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Allegedly.
Right.
But
allegedly, yeah.
So there was this whole thing where they knew people were able to do this and use their Fire Stick for basically pirating. But they were like, oh, that's not our responsibility. We don't know how that's, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with opiates, where like these companies know 90% of their sales are people who are abusing them, and it's
big
like,
time.
well, it's not our responsibility. That's the doctors, and contact your primary healthcare provider, and it's just.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And again, it's, they're pretty shady people and like work with the politicians where it's all linked in, like with the vaccine thing. And it's just like, it's eerily similar to this sort of thing where it's like, it's just weird. Like these people aren't here to make us a healthy population. They're here to fucking push drugs, and that's their fucking job. And it's like, if you know, that's my opinion at least.
Oh yeah.
And I worked there. I saw it fucking happen. Man.
That's crazy. What was like the number one thing you saw prescribed while you worked there?
Okay, dude, I'll tell you this. I wasn't gonna say it, but it was there's this doctor who worked on Milpa Street, which is like 3 miles from where the pharmacy was. His name was Julio Diaz, Dr. Diaz. He had a nickname in the local jail, the Candyman.
Oh shit.
Yeah, dude. It was the shadiest whole operation. So the DEA investigated this dude for 3.5 years, bro. 3.5 years. Which in that time he wrote whatever you wanted. You just go in and be like, this is what I want. So oxy 80s, which were the strongest, all the way down to I think 10 were the weakest at any strength and any number. And the most outlandish dude, I won't say his name, I'm not allowed to say his name, but he would come in.
Candyman, you say it 3 times.
Yeah, dude, it was scary. Like, and again, the fact that it took our government 3.5 years to see that there was something wrong. I went to his office like twice to get something fixed for a prescription, and I knew right away that this was the shadiest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, you go in and it has a drug den vibe. It doesn't have an hospice.
There's
vibe.
A couch, some guy in a fucking wife beater just counting money.
It wasn't counting money, dude, but there was like a dude like, yeah, in that sort of vibe. And then when I walked up to the counter where the nurse is, right, where you check in, she was literally filling out the prescription forms for him, which is illegal. You're not allowed to do this.
Yeah.
Like writing what the people are getting and it's like MS Cotton, Oxycontin, Valium, dude, again, whatever you wanted. To finish that one story real quick, this dude would come in and get Oxycontin 80 milligrams, again, the strongest oxys they make. And they were up to 4 a day, 4 times 30.
Oh my God.
Like the max amount that you can prescribe somebody a day, like 1 a day every 4 hours. So that's actually 6 a day. I think it was like 180, like 120 or 180. And it was just an absurd amount that you knew no one was taking. And this was monthly.
Yeah.
And that wasn't his only prescription. You know what I mean? We all knew too. And that was kind of like you're saying, like I knew that this was wrong. But I'm a dude who barely graduated high school.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to make money.
Well, I'm not allowed to say no, right? Like I couldn't be like, hey, I'm not selling this to you. I'd be fired. Yeah. And then the same with like my boss, because the doctor wrote it. So there's this chain of command that's never, you know what I mean? Like you as like you said, your nurse training, like you knew something was wrong. Yeah. And no one would listen to you. Yeah. Like same with me. It's like no one gives a fuck what I have to think. But I left that job because of that shit too, dude. I was like, dude, we're not helping. No, I gave a woman a bag of drugs where my instinct was to pull it back, but I knew I'd be fired if I didn't do this.
Oh, man.
And her 16-year-old son found her dead a few months after I quit. It was definitely one of the factors of leaving that job. Like it was, and I've heard it all changed for the better. You know, like you said, a lot of this cancel culture shit, it's like but they let it get so fucking bad that way where it's like, again, they knew what was going on for the longest fucking time, dude. Yeah. And there's plenty of documentaries, you know, you can watch like The Pharmacist is one. I think it's on Netflix, which is about it in Florida going on. The same story I just described.
Oh, yeah. The one in Florida where you can go to like 3 pharmacies in a day and just fill the same prescription because they don't have a database, which is.
Yeah, there was no database and like the doctors were pretty shady. And again, it wasn't just here in California. It was other places. There was a national fucking thing going on. Like they had to have known what was going on.
That's nuts, man.
You know?
Wow. I didn't. That's crazy to think that you're just, you know, because that's one of the things that doesn't get highlighted is the amount of opiate overdoses, pill overdoses in general. And that kind of, I know it's, you know, it's not as sexy as school shooters and all these things. But if you look at the numbers,
it's a national epidemic. The real thing is that's the thing, maybe because I work there and I do follow it closely. And it's like, no, they're talking about it now because. So now what happened is all the drug companies don't make this shit that was easy as fuck to get at the pharmacy. So now you have guys like making shit in their bathtub, essentially pressing pills like ecstasy, the way they make ecstasy now. Yeah. But they lace it with, it's called fentanyl.
Oh, fentanyl.
So fentanyl is killing.
I had a buddy from high school just die on an accidental overdose from it, man. Because
I've had like five or six buddies, dude, from that shit. It's immediate. The thing is like the fentanyl thing, it's like, it's just this incremental, just the smallest amount, dude. They can't even use dogs to find it because the dogs will die if they smell it.
Really?
Dude, it's this is what I mean. Like the Drug Enforcement Agency and that whole war on drugs thing, they should do something about fentanyl, because fentanyl is killing people fucking all over the world, and in this country, like, it's really bad, dude.
Man.
Yeah, it's sad. Like you said, you know somebody. I know 5 or 6 people. I don't know 5 or 6 people that died of COVID.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that died of drugs, dude.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Again, it's supposed to be a comedic podcast, but like,
no, man,
yeah,
this
is kind of a true like thing that, like I said, I worked at a pharmacy. I know a bunch of people that died from drugs. Like, it's just something like, you know, as my younger nieces and nephews, it's something scary that's out there. Like, you're out partying one day, you can just take a bad pill and fucking die.
That's what's crazy is because I mean, I got lucky in the sense that, you know, because in high school I took pills, you know, take Vicodin and everything, and it's pure luck that I didn't take something that had fentanyl in it, you know?
It wasn't around then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I'm 30. I think you're around my age. I'm 34. And
I'm 47.
What they had. 47.
I'm 33.
So handsome. Look at him. Great. Look at all these great.
I eat babies for breakfast. Okay, that's the secret.
Superman diet. We don't want to talk about in healthcare. If you eat fresh babies.
Why do you think I came to Texas? Freedom, okay?
Well, it's got no crow's feet on it. These are handsome. Trying to compete with me. I needed to turn the lights down like you did.
That's the secret, man.
Is that what it is?
Just
like
for men.
Candle burning.
This pandemic for sure gave me gray hair. For sure, it came in.
Dude, I had a bunch of, like, for me personally, I had a bunch of like horrible panic attacks and shit like that. Just because like it was overwhelming, like with everything, and you know, fuck, dude, the world. It's weird. Even now, like, coming back doing comedy. And being in social settings, I was standing around, and I feel weird. Like my social, not that I was not weird before, as you know, you've been around me enough where it's like I'm pretty weird, but but you know what I mean, like at Augury or something like that. And now it's starting to happen again. I'm just kind of like, fuck, man, all these people, and I like inch up my mask because no one's wearing a mask. Yeah, you know, I think I'll be fine if I got it. It's just the way they've ingrained the fear. Like, they've done a good job.
They really have.
You know,
they've treated it like it was like an alien invasion on the news, and it's just. You know.
I was hoping for that, bro. I think there was a meme going around like, "Hey, you're up next," and they were like,
we're
like,
so
how
nervous.
Can I follow this?" And because we're big into that, dude. Me and my wife are big into like aliens and stuff. We like those documentaries. Oh, you into that at all? Like,
I love talking about aliens and the idea of them.
Me too.
Being real.
There's this cool documentary that came out, I think almost like during pandemic. It's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, where it's like Spielberg's movie, but like it's and it was a documentary, and the way this was presented, dude, was like, let's say like 20% of it was true. It was like, oh yeah, they're for sure here, and like there's a bunch of different kinds of aliens, and then there's a whole. It's pretty rad. I like just thinking about it, dude.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It definitely feels like there's so much. It's a cliche from a movie, but there's like, it's too much of a waste of space for there not to be other life in all the cosmos. Like, have you ever seen Neil deGrasse Tyson, The Cosmos?
I've seen parts of it. That show, right? He's great. I'm a big fan of Mr. Tyson.
I highly suggest watching that whole season. Just the way they do it, everything, and even those first season or the first episode where they show you exactly how long humans have been on the planet, for how long the planet has been around, and they break it down into a 12-month calendar, and then it shows just a last sliver of hair on December 31st of that last day of the year, like 3 hours. Right. If it's 12 months, we've only been here for like 3 hours for how long Earth has been here. And then
that's a cool analogy for sure.
Dude, and it shows the visual because it shows dinosaurs showed up. Dude, you know what blows my fucking mind? Dinosaurs have been here for like, they ruled the earth for like 400 million years. And we like think they just never really, dinosaurs had their blip. We've been here forever.
Well, some folks like to say that, they're not even real.
Yeah, they didn't exist.
Jesus didn't do that.
Yeah. But it has this dope part on the show where it shows like one little cell organism on earth that life would like start from, pulls back to like a creature, pulls back to like an ecosystem, pulls back, you see the planet, then you see our solar system, and then you see all these solar systems, then you see the cosmos, and then you like see that our entire universe is like one little blip inside, not even a speck of sand on a beach. And you're like, there's for sure other shit, but we're just so dumb thinking they're like, you know, like in the movies. But like,
well, dude, do you remember one of my, and I still love this movie, dude, Men in Black. Do you remember that movie?
I was listening, dude. I swear to God, I was listening to
fucking love that movie, dude.
the soundtrack this
All right,
morning
pump the brakes.
while
With
walking my
Will
dog.
Smith.
Here
Okay.
comes the man in black. I used to know the dance when I was a kid. Now come on, now walk. with me,
Right,
now
you're right,
walk.
because at that time, Will Smith was killing it with that and Wild Wild West due to the soundtrack.
Yeah, man.
But no, it was kind of like the end of that movie, if you remember, was what you just described, where it pulls out, they're looking for that little marble-sized planet.
And they're playing
marbles.
marbles.
And it pulls, at the end of this other giant creature was playing marbles. And dude, that came out, I think we were like 13, like very impressionable young kids. I remember just thinking that, and those concepts have been presented to me as a younger kid. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, like to think we're the only thing and launching our like cute little rockets up into space, like, I think it's in this documentary I just mentioned, where it's like the guy mentions light speed. Like we always talk about traveling at light speed. He's like, dude, we're talking about distances where light speed is too slow. You imagine that? Like they're 100,000 light years away or whatever. And it's like, that would take too long. So they can interdimensionally travel. Like they figured out how to like wormhole shit. And it's like well beyond what we know of physics and shit. Like we don't know this shit. So to say one way or another, this is real or whatever, it's like, and again, I'm a fucking idiot, dude. I don't know. I just like hearing about it, being like, yeah, this is tight. This is bigger than me. Those sort of things. Like religion used to be it back in the day. Like what's bigger and greater than us? And I like those discussions too, if you can have a rational discussion about it.
Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's where it gets weird, because like I'm half Jewish, half Irish, so I've always just been curious. Yeah. But like again, you can talk about aliens without people fucking getting weird.
Yeah, they're like, where does Jesus fit into this? Okay, maybe the UFO was the ark.
Maybe like that's what I mean. Maybe like they're saying that like aliens did the pyramids like way back in the day, both in South America and in Egypt. So it's like this wouldn't like, and again, humans have been here like this, like you said, dude. So aliens have fucking been coming here. That's one of the theories. And again, I don't fucking know, but I just like thinking about it.
Yeah.
So like, maybe Jesus was some man. Like, who the fuck knows, man?
Dude, it very easily could have been that. Dude, I always think back to how bad stories get lost in just repeating it to one person and having them tell it to other people. And then we're going to talk about the Bible and all this stuff that was just passed down. Of course, one day they're going to be like, without the, rationale and like to understand, they're like, Jesus was a person. He had long hair and, he hung out there. It was like,
or Birkenstocks, he's cool,
Yeah. But no, I definitely think that there's some weird stuff. And the pyramids are always fascinating. I heard this crazy thing recently that when they started building the pyramids, that literally by the time they got to the tip, like putting it all together, if one of the the big boulders that they used, I don't know what you would call them, bricks, I guess, brick boulders.
Sure. Yeah.
If it would have been off by even half an inch anywhere building it, it wouldn't have formed the way it formed. Like the amount of accuracy and just design and it's mind blowing to think that if our minds have really evolved over time from, where we are, even I feel like human beings' intelligence levels have gotten smarter even in like the last 50 years. Like just our processors, we're like humans 4.0 to do a callback on what you said earlier.
Do you think though? Because I think like in the last 20 years, dude,
shit's got weird.
Like it's fucking done this, dude. Like I think a lot of people are fucking stupid. I think there's definitely some smart people, like Elon Musk is like super smart. Yeah. And even, and I'm not saying that, I just think, I don't know, man. I think the mass population is not as smart. Like maybe, like you're right. I think you're probably right, dude. Like in athletics, like where athletes and people have gotten better, but there's been more people. You know
That's
what I mean?
very
like
true.
Over the 50 years, the amount of like people versus like super intelligent, smart people, it's like there's Nikolai Tesla was alive 100 years ago, dude. We're still trying to figure out what he was doing,
Was he the dude that fell in love with a pigeon? Was that him?
Yeah, that's him. But I love how that was like at the end of his life where I think he literally had dementia, and that's what everyone remembers about him.
Bro.
But he literally is responsible for how the world works now.
Hey, bro, I'm sorry. You fuck one pigeon, bro. I'm going to remember it.
Pigeon. We never fucked a pigeon.
I mean, can we say that for sure?
No, I can't. I wasn't there in the room with him or nothing. But,
he at least cuddled weird with it,
Yeah, he got weird. He did get weird because I'm a huge fan of him and that in general. But I saw in that movie, The Prestige. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Okay, so there's a movie, there's a Chris Nolan movie with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are competing magicians.
Oh, okay.
And they go actually see Nikola Tesla to actually build this contraption. And he turns out to be this real guy. Like this story, the movie's not real, but Nikola Tesla was a real guy that did crazy, weird scientific shit like this. And again, he did lose his mind at the end of his life. But like the AC current and the turbines over Niagara Falls, he designed and built all that. So it's like, dude, that's the shit we still use, you know?
Yeah, you could be right. I think definitely like our processors, like how our brain has kept growing. I feel like, and that's the thing is like every generation could be getting better because they have more of a foundation and access to more education and information.
Absolutely.
But there definitely is, and this is something I do think about, and maybe this is just because we're like in a crossroads of generations where we're starting to become the grumpy old men. And it's like,
I feel that hardcore, dude. Like from the younger generation,
because we look at them and we're like, you guys don't do anything. You guys have your feelings and just dance on your phones. And it's just like, where's the rite of passages? Where is the, you know,
they can swing a hammer or like use a drill or, you know, shit like that. Or to me, it's like, hey, can you build anything? Yeah. That's where I'm like, hey, dude, like it is hard, dude. There's some badass young kids that I've met in construction that are like, yeah. So to your point, I think kids are fucking great, but then there's just so many more where like some people make us like look at general population. Like you look at the news, like if you're trying to like rep a squad, like humans, like some of us make us look bad. You know what I mean? Like, oh, for sure. People wearing the MAGA hats and just like having irrational conversations about toilet paper. Like, all right, man. Okay.
That shit was
wild, like those
man.
People where it's like none of this is adding up. Like you look crazy. Yeah. Like the toilet paper thing, dude. Like I said, we got Elon Musk launching fucking rockets into space, and then we have people fighting over toilet paper at Walmart.
Bro, I got a bidet right before the pandemic hit, and it was the smartest decision I ever made. Lovely.
Just had a bunch of toilet paper. You're stoked.
Yeah. Just didn't need it. You know, when you got a bidet, you're just using that
that's
good
what
water.
My whole thing was. Like you mentioned earlier, like common sense and using your brain. It's like, yo, the water was never turned off. You could always take a shower or go outside and fucking wash your booty. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. It never added up. That's what I mean. A lot of this shit that's gone on where it's like, you know, I'd like to say you're right with the smart stuff, but we've witnessed some pretty dumbass shit over the last year.
That's true. And maybe, and this is actually something I've talked about before, is how humans in general, I think while there is like we are getting smarter with our processors and our ability to grasp information, like if you look, and maybe it's because they have those tools. Like when you see a little kid with an iPad and you're like, and you're like, wow, they know how to use all of that. And there's like a grandparent who's just like, what button do I push? But it's just like they've been indoctrinated with the technology. They've like morphed with it. But there is a weird thing happening to where we've lost so much discipline, I think. Because people become like slaves to technology. And it's like, I always think of it like we're wizards. In a phone, we have the ability to literally search anything you want to know, every answer to any question that's been in existence. We have it. But instead, we're just watching people have sex on it. Like
watching porn or
we're just media. Like, oh, let me just all this dopamine and like shit that's going to release from it. And it's like, man. It goes back to like self-accountability and being able to like discipline yourself with it and limit it, you know?
Yeah, I'm guilty of it myself, dude. And I was never like a video game guy. I always played outside. Like I was that generation. I feel like we were the last generation that had that. I know it's kind of cliche, but yeah, dude, I still find myself like constantly scrolling through Instagram or fucking just like checking, especially doing kind of like this stuff where it's like, hey, I'm trying to build a following in a way and like build my show and do comedy, so like promote myself, but then where's the line of like I'm using it as a tool versus this is a fucking like a fucking distraction. Like dude, I gotta go to the fucking gym. I don't need to scroll inevitably through this social media feed. Yeah, it's definitely gotten in the way of because I always work best and do best when I can get into a flow state of like if I hit like a 45-minute mark of working on something without distractions, it just starts flowing where it's like, okay, I hit the groove, the train is moving at full speed, don't stop this momentum. But then I'm just like, ding,
And I'm like, oh, what's this?
Right.
Oh, someone set this meme. And now I'm scrolling memes. And I'm like, God damn it, Evan, you lost the magic, you know?
Yeah, dude. I'm with you, man.
You can't
Especially when
build
you're
it up
writing
again.
or something,
Yeah.
where it's like you're saying, like you're in the zone, and then you just look at your phone and it fucked it up, dude, because you're like in the moment, like at work, like, or at night or at the gym, dude. I'll try to just like put it on as an airplane mode where like you can't get that shit. So it's just like in the gym specifically, where it's like, you know, like I'm here to fucking work out for an hour and a half and get the fuck out of here. So having the phone is like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of ruined, at least for me. I know some people are able to fuck around on their phone, but to me, I lose focus, and it's just my ADD or whatever kicking in.
Yeah, there's a great quote. I write it in my journal a lot randomly. If you seek a life of freedom, you'll be a slave to your desires. But if you seek discipline, you'll find liberty. And it's
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot who said it. Someone
sounds like
old
a
person.
Martial arts or like
I heard it from
like
a martial artist
or something. Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds something very, and I've realized that too because I've been like blessed with time off, like doing construction. We'll have like chunks of time off, and I kind of like when I don't have any focus or again discipline, if you want to call it that, it's like, you know, like I don't know what to fucking do with myself. So like having something to do, whether it's like writing or working on something creatively, or again going to the gym and having this outlet of again discipline and just like this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for an hour and a half. And again, you can't just like, you work out hard. You do jujitsu. Imagine like fucking checking your memes while some dude's fucking, you know what I mean? You can't. Like you have to be fucking present. You have to be in the fucking zone, bro.
Yeah.
So, and why wouldn't you? If you're gonna go for the effort, like. Why have your fun? You know what I mean? Fucking fuck that thing for. Yeah. It'll be there. Yeah. You know, all those memes will fucking be there. That's the other thing. It's an addiction. And it bothers me seeing those little kids with that shit, dude. It fucking irks me to the core. Because to me, it's like, dude, we had parents that would parent us for the better or worse. You know what I mean? We'd run around the restaurant or whatever. And now these kids are just fucking in this land, in this world. And I think this is a whole new route that we're going where kids are going to, like their social skills are going to be fucked. Like, especially that young where their dopamine, their distractions are in this screen. And I don't know how good it is for a child's development to constantly have that in their face.
No, even for adults, there was this statistic that scared the shit out of me that if you wake up and the first thing you see is your phone screen, like the colors and everything, something because your brain's not woken up, it'll drain like 70% of your dopamine for the day.
Jesus.
So it puts you already deflated with like what you're supposed to use for life and like achievement. Like those dopamines are released when you do something good. It's like now you're just trying to catch that rush where you're just like, I'm on Instagram scrolling and I'm like, it just diet life where it's like, it's funny and it feels good, but it doesn't feel good. Like when you're looking at memes and you know you should be doing something else, you feel like shit, but for some reason you're still doing it. And it's
that's dude. You nailed it. That what you just said is exactly how I fucking feel. And I heard someone else say this about starting your day that way, and it resonated with me. You know, you need to share something. I can't remember the exact words, but I'm just like, yeah, that's not a good way. That's not how you want to start your fucking day. Yeah. Like, get up, fucking do your thing, dude. Do a normal routine. Brush your fucking teeth. Stop. You don't need to look at your fucking phone. You don't need to look at Instagram. Like look at it at noon. That's what I've been trying to do. I've been breaking this rule all the time, but like look at it at lunchtime for a little bit, look at it in the evening for a little bit, and that's fucking it. You know what I mean? Like make a post or, you know, watch some shit on YouTube. But that's the other thing, dude. Fucking YouTube is amazing. It's got so much great shit on it. So many great podcasts with all these great comedians that we all love. And like, dude, you could sit there watching Tom Segura and Christina P's podcast for fucking days, or your favorite whoever. And there's so much fucking great content that, you can do that for days and days. But again, I after day 2, I feel like a fucking piece of shit. I'm like, all right, dude, I got to go do something productive for me. Yeah. You know, like you're saying, I think it's that fucking, and the way you explained it more smarter is like with the dopamine. And it's like, that's probably it, where I'm watching other people's success and achievements and it's releasing this dopamine of like what you should do. Yeah. You know, and now I'm just sitting here on the couch.
Yeah. That's like, dude, it's been such a big thing, and it's something I realized. It's weird because I don't know if you knew, I grew up homeschooled.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't even like a homeschool. We were part of a homeschool group. I just was like by myself a lot.
Oh shit.
So I didn't have
pretty good social skills, bro.
Thanks, man. Shout out to Applebee's.
That's what they always say about kids who do that, right? It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, dude, he's gonna be socially retarded. Say that. Excuse me. You're not allowed to say that. Socially inept.
No, it's true. Because my mom every now and would try to take us to like a homeschool function, and I'd be like, I was just naturally like kind of social, but I still have weird social things where like just because I was in isolation all the time, where I'm just like, oh, everybody's gonna hate me. I'm gonna, I still get socially weird, but I would get around other homeschool kids, and I would be like, oh, these kids are fucking weird. They're holding eye contact way too long with me. They're just staring.
Just craving attention.
Yeah.
See, oh, that's a bummer to hear. Because I didn't like, my buddy was homeschooled for a bit, but he always played ball. So he'd come out and play ball in the afternoon. It was just he did the school part at home for a few years.
Yeah.
But then how many years did you do that for?
So I went to school in kindergarten, then 1st through 3rd was homeschooled. And then I went half a year in 4th and got kicked out for fighting. And then I was homeschooled.
Do you remember that story?
Well, it was a lot of fighting. And the one that Irish and Puerto Rican, because my dad always,
Puerto Rican. Yeah.
My dad always had this thing where he would just be like, if you get in a fight, you better win. And like all this stuff. And he grew up in Brooklyn. Like they grew up in the hard part.
Puerto Rican? Your dad's Puerto Rican?
100% Puerto Rican, just oozing out of them.
From Brooklyn. Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. That's tight, dude. That's old school.
And yeah, man, they were around like a lot of the mob families and everything like that. Just
my family is from like not Brooklyn, but I've got some family from Brooklyn, Long Island, Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah, go with your story. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And so it was just this mentality that I had to fight if anything happened. So it was just like put in me, and I just got in fights all the time, just over anything. And then it was like
juice box. Was it the 4th grade? Like, what are you fighting about? Dude, that's my juice box.
Dude, just dumb shit.
Icy squeeze.
It was just the dumbest shit. I can't even really remember, but I remember the one that got me in big trouble was I threw a basketball. I tripped a kid. I was in 4th grade. He was like in 8th grade. I tripped him and threw a basketball at his head while he was on the ground. And
that's savage. Well, you're in 4th grade. You're like 10. That's savage.
I was using tools and shit. I was entering the Stone Age. And I remember I bounced it off his head, and it was
said, what, bitch?
Yeah. And then I peed on him to mark my territory.
Wow.
No. And then I was like, my mind's telling me no. But
ahead of your time, bro.
He was the teacher's son. He was my actual teacher's son. So I got in big trouble for that.
Yeah,
he had some juice. So we had to leave the school.
And then
all the juice.
And you had no juice.
Exactly.
You drank your juice.
Yeah. And then I homeschooled again until high school. So like my first real initiation with school was high school. And it was like, that was pretty crazy because it was like,
that's a long time.
No social, like high school is the most hypersensitive of like the weird social shit of hierarchies.
Yeah, everyone's like deep in puberty and like don't know themselves. High school's a fucking weird time, dude. Like looking back on it, I was pretty socially awkward and have a lot of social anxieties. It just runs into my family. And looking back on it, I got into drugs pretty early. And looking back on it was because of that. Like I was just socially awkward, and the people who would like ditch and go smoke weed and shit, it was fucking easier than being at school. I'd always leave school. I'd always ditch school. I'd hung out with people that ditch school. But that's the thing. Like the way I am in comedy, like being able to do social shit, I'm able to do it. Like I'm personable, I'm able to do it. But in big settings, I get a little weird sometimes. Yeah. And when I was 14, you don't know how to fucking really like, oh, that's kind of normal. Or you just, you know what I mean? You just feel fucking weird. You're all standing around at nutrition break. Yeah, you're coming in as a brand new kid. It must have been fucking batshit crazy for you. Yeah, I remember. Did you have friends, or how did you go about that? I knew only my cousin, and I hung out with him for like a few days. And my cousin, I always have a soft spot for like goth punkers, because that's how my cousin had like leather jacket with studs, mohawk that was like dyed. Hold on. You're coming in. Like this is your first time into school, and that's your fucking guy that's showing you around. That was my beacon. That was my northern star. Mohawk, punk rocker, goth. And but they were great. How big was the goth clique in that school?
These people I hung out with, and I don't know if goth is the right word. They're maybe punkers is more the term.
Okay.
I don't want to offend this group of people. But
I don't think anything we're saying could be screwed. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just because why I'm asking this. There was a group of goths, but there was only like six goths.
Okay.
And there was some like punk rock. They just fought a lot, dude. The punkers in my school just did fucking hard drugs and fought. That
they
was
didn't give
like
a shit.
The punker. No, the punkers that like had the mohawk full punk shit was like you knew not to fuck with them. And they would, even
0 to 100. You know? They just, dude, that's the thing is if you're in high school and you're willing to shave your head and get a mohawk and dye it, you're willing to get expelled.
For sure. Know? And I think the teachers, like in class, they'd be disruptive and the teachers they would kind of tiptoe around disciplining certain kids. I remember.
Yeah.
And the punkers.
Yeah, and I hung out with probably like 6 or 7 of them, and then slowly I started making friends. And then I swam on a club team, so like by the time swim season started for the school, then I started making friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did other sports before, like you had, like you said, you developed some sort of social skills.
Yeah, it was probably during swimming. But the thing is that swimming isn't it's a social sport when you're getting changed in the locker room, when you're in the shower.
All right.
Yeah, right. Sounds so
weird turn of events.
When you're just hanging out, putting your Speedo on and taking it off in the shower.
I already don't want to imagine that he's building the picture better. It's like, all right.
But it's not the most social sport because once you're in the pool, you're just swimming. You can't really talk underwater.
Yeah, it's not like Michael Phelps. It's like, hey, man, how's it going in that lane? You good?
No. You know what's funny is one time when I was a kid, Michael Phelps was swimming at the same swim meet as me. And he was already at the Olympics. And I remember he jumped in the warm-up pool and everybody would just get out of his way and was just like, oh, my God, Michael Phelps just got in and like clear the pool. And I ran and I jumped in behind him and sprinted as fast as I could and touched his feet. Because that's like a thing in swimming that if you touch their feet, they're supposed to stop and let you go by because you're faster than them. And I remember Michael Phelps didn't stop. And like, I was like, keep hitting his foot. And like, I was a jackass. And I'm just swimming. And then he gets to the wall. And I go, excuse me, man. And then I do a flip turn. And I kept going. Like, he was just like, what the fuck?
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard, bro.
Yeah, man. It was.
How did you talk to him after that, or was that your only interaction? And then
no, I met him after that, got his autograph, all that stuff.
That's tight, dude.
Yeah, no,
I
think he thought it was funny. He was like this little fat, little pudgy kid because I was a little fat, round kid, so he was just like this little jackass.
Better, dude. Yeah. How old were you when that happened?
I must have been like 14, 13, maybe.
Dude, see, no, you had good social skills. If you thought that was the move, which it was. You're very likable at that age.
I think that was just the comedy where I was like, this is going to be a good joke, you know?
It was. And I wonder if he'd remember that, dude. I wonder how many people had the balls. I guess if that's a thing, I bet other people have tried to do that. Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if that's a thing, like I didn't know that. Like, other than I'm like, that's a little weird.
Just touch his feet, just tickle him.
Tickled his feet while he's swimming. Like,
had
what the
foot
fuck?
thing.
Well,
yeah.
Trying to warm up here, you know? That's fucking funny. That's a great story though, dude.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it till now.
That's a great bit for I mean, I don't know if you're doing comedy right now, but like that's in my opinion, that's a fucking great. Obviously a great show story, but
I'm actually doing my first set tonight. Tonight's going to be the first time venturing out. There's a lot of spots open here. That's one thing that's
open. Are you
open.
in Austin? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes outside of Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far, so good. You like the barbecue and the big hats?
Yeah, dude, there's no big hats. I haven't really seen a cowboy hat.
They say all this shit, dude, in California. I think it's vice versa, bro.
Exactly.
Like hearing you, where it's like Texans think California. Because when I was in Texas, bro, everyone was like, dude, you're a fucking cool guy. Like, they don't talk like they're from Brooklyn, but. But yeah.
I don't think you're in Texas, man. You might have been in New York.
Like, wait, that's more East Coast. But yeah, they're all surprised. I went to Dallas and Houston, and they're like, dude, you're actually a pretty cool guy. I'm like, all right, thanks, I guess. Like, I'm just.
It's the news, man. It's the news.
I think it is. And then you just formulate this fucking opinion about somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because I always rock like baseball hats. Like, oh, you're from California. Like, yeah, it's very obvious. Talking to me right away. Dude, going through Alabama was batshit crazy. Have you gone any other state in the South there?
No, not Alabama.
Fucking batshit, dude.
Is it?
They're batshit. Like right out in the open with that racism right there, dude.
Ooh.
Wild. Louisiana's tight though, right next door. You should.
Oh yeah, I've been to New Orleans. I like that.
Yeah, stop. You don't need to go. Just stop there.
After that, no Alabama, huh?
Nah, well, you go through. Go check it out, man. But just be careful.
Don't
you're
get too tan.
Enough.
Yeah, don't get too tan before I go.
Enough, dude. It was just a weird vibe, dude. A lot of Confederate flags and shit like that.
Yeah. It blows my mind. That's the other thing is like when people are so detached from technology and like social norms to where they're just staying in that old school shit. I always find racism completely crazy. I'm like, this is nuts that you're still doing this, you know?
What? Dude, honestly, to play devil's advocate, because I hear a lot of dumb shit. It's like a Jewish
Mexicans are pretty bad, Evan.
They're not. No.
You're all, as a white man in construction,
as a guy
bro.
Married to a Mexican woman. No. Yeah, it was just like how Californians think Texans are a certain way and Texans are a certain way the other way. Like, again, I'm fucking half Jewish, half Irish Catholic. And like, I guess people can't tell I'm Jewish when you look at me. You know, I can always tell what other. Anyway, like the amount of weird shit I've heard or incorrect information about like Jews. It's just like, I guess we're having this conversation. Dude, the amount of times, like I said earlier in the show, like somebody will look me up and down and then just be like, yeah, I'm going to bounce some racist shit off of this guy. Like, all right, dude, I'm not. And again, I'm not on board, dude. My wife's Mexican. My stepmom, my father's lady is Mexican. Like, I'm very entrenched in Mexican culture, love Mexican culture. I'm Irish Catholic, fucking Jewish. So I have no allegiance to state to I'm American, but like, dude, I've been a lot of other countries. I'm not like so raw. Like, again, I love this country, but the politics is not what I love. Yeah. I love the geography and like people like you and shit, because you're you're an Irish Puerto Rican. We can be friends. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the racism thing is fucking batshit, dude. And again, you've never met a Jew. You've never met insert Puerto Rican, like whatever. You don't know about them. And but you have this crazy fucking idea in your head, dude.
I blame the news.
The news, like, look what's happening like around the country of like, hey man, I have friends of all color and religious background, and I don't judge them based on, I judge it. I think that famous quote, like, you judge at the base of their character, like how they, you know, how they act, how they treat other people, how they treat me, how do they treat dogs, shit like that.
That's a big one, man. You learn a lot by someone, how they treat a dog.
Or the waiting staff's a big one for me. Like, you're out to eat with somebody and they're a dismissive prick to somebody bringing them food. It's like, yeah, that guy's probably an asshole across the board, no matter what color or creed they are.
Yeah. As someone who's worked in the food industry for numerous years, you don't fuck with people who carry your food. Or
just, why are you being a dick to that guy?
Yeah.
You know, I was interviewing a comedian, Hector Renteria's younger dude. I don't know if you met him.
Oh, yeah. Also, introduce your podcast. Russell Samler started a podcast. Phenomenal. I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Dude. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, we've only had 2. It's called Boomtown Chronicles. It's just something I wanted to do because we couldn't do mics. Yeah. And, you know, I like doing this, man. I did a podcast with a good friend of mine, Galen Nash, an LA-based comedian. Mm-hmm. And I just had a blast doing it. I'm like, man, I want to do this more. So then I kind of spent a little money and developed like this behind me.
Your set is very, very dope. You have
thanks,
great
dude. Yeah, shout out this dude, this painter, did a couple of these. His name's Greg Simpkins. Okay. Crayola is his like acronym or his name, his writing name. Okay. He's great, man. I've met him a bunch of times. We actually exchanged messages, but yeah, he's a great artist and cool dude. Anyone listening to this or even yourself, his work is.
Dude, I love artwork awesome. Like that. I love your artwork, dude. That is one of my.
Thanks a lot, man.
That's one of my regrets is that I don't have one of your pieces somewhere in the studio.
I'll pack you up something and
dude, we'll
after this, I'll get your address and all.
Dude, we'll figure
you know what's real cool is like a lot of the comedians, which is real cool, has been real nice about that. Like I still paint every once in a while. And David Freitas, another comedian, he came up to me the other day. I was like, dude, I didn't realize you painted. Like, I'd love to get one of your paintings. And I was like, oh, man, that's cool. And the same with like when we do comedy or just any sort of creative thing that other people like. Because I don't do this hoping that like, you know, I hope other people like it. So when you hear people like, dude, that's tight. It's like,
no, you're very talented at it, man. I don't like putting you on the spot.
No, I don't mind. Like I said, I'm always surprised to hear it because one of the things I think helped me doing comedy was the fact that I don't want to say failed at art, but I went to a lot of like art shows or art, like trying to sell my art. And it was in Santa Barbara. It was a pretty like not prestigious, but like posh
I know Santa Barbara. Yeah.
Yeah. And they got a lot of money, and like my shit's a little more surreal and different.
Yeah.
And what I like doing was standing away from my booth, and I would just listen to people talk shit about the work. But I didn't like take it the wrong. It would just be like some kind of like stuck up young lady talking shit.
Yeah. They just weren't your.
And I would just laugh like, oh, okay, well, cool.
They're not your demographic, you know?
Well, it's like, this isn't fucking IKEA, man. Like the artist is probably like, the booth would be like in front of me, and I would just stand like I was shopping too.
Yeah.
You know, and just listen to what people would say sometimes. And this wasn't always, like, a lot of people were cool.
Yeah.
And hearing fellow artists, and again, like I think you're a really talented guy.
Thanks, man.
To hear you give a compliment is fucking awesome.
No, I always think about your artwork. Whenever I think about things,
thanks,
I wish I had my artwork that I have. Do you know who Justin Bua is?
I don't think so.
I have a signed painting he did, but surreal,
that's awesome, dude.
Surreal art is so dope to me. Like, because it's like kind of the stuff you paint, where it's just like you can do so much and express so much with just textures and tone and shadows, and it's like, man, I love when shit's melting. It's just, you know.
I really like. So I'm like, I do construction and have to do like house painting and like textured walls and shit, but it has to be like perfect. You know, it has to be like, there can't be drips, like you're saying, like how, you know, you're not going to paint out somebody's house and like drips.
Yeah.
It's got to be perfect. So when I get into the studio and I can just like throw paint or it's like an expression of just like what I can't get to do at work sometimes. So like I used to hate on the splatter paintings like Pollock and those things, but once learning more about them, it was like, man, this is fucking rad. Like Pollock used to just smoke a heater, dude, and lay a fucking a canvas on the ground with his short-haired German point. His dog would just sit next to him and he would just drip. It would look, I'm like, dude, this guy's just having a fucking awesome time, you know, like expressing. And again, a lot of people like to shit on that type of art, but when you really see it in person and you can look at it and then like look at it a bunch more times, it's like, man, there's something here.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, I could do that. And it's like, well, then fucking do it, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like, would it be as enjoyable? Because I made a few of those splatter paintings and like they've kind of become some of my favorite because there is no one image. It's kind of like when you look at the clouds and let your mind just let the images, you know, this kind of get into a nerdy like.
No, I like it. This is the
art
good
discussion,
stuff.
But yeah, dude, I'm a huge art nerd, like across the board, whether it's like what we do, performing art, like film, I'm a huge film fucking nerd, dude. You know, comic book. I love comic books of any kind. And again, dude, artistic expression, I think, is what separates us from fucking, you know, the other animals in the animal world. So like, and again, connecting, like you're saying, hearing people be like, hey, dude, I really like your art. It was cool. I was like, God, thanks, man. Because it's not just for me. A lot of the shit does just sit in the studio. And it's like, you know, same with the podcast. If only I listen to it, it's like, well, I don't know if I'd keep doing it.
I think, man, when you see, how is it for you? Because drawing and painting is something I've never been talented at. When you see other art, like, do you feel something, like even when you're looking at the painting that's behind you now, like, does it make you feel something, or are you just like, oh, that's a cool painting? Or like, can you feel emotions out of it?
Oh, with Greg's work, dude, I've been following him since I was a teenager, like probably, dude, he did. So back in the day, dude, you look at like album, like CD covers. Yeah. I don't know if you did. This is what I would do. Just trip out on stuff like that. And Greg did some old hip hop albums before I knew who he was. And I would love their music. So then I found out about his art. And dude, I followed him since MySpace, bro. Like I found Greg about MySpace.
Loyal.
And then like, yeah, that's what I mean. And I've met him over the years a few times at like book signings or just like he'd be painting somewhere and I'd go, dude, I took a painting class from him.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, and he's just like the nicest fucking dude. Like everyone always asks me like, oh, what kind of drugs is he on? It's like, he's not. He's a father of 2 fucking kids. He's a husband. He's a stand-up dude. I couldn't say enough nice things about him. And even me, dude, I'm just like a fan essentially that's become, I don't say friends, but like he knows who I am and I can ask him questions. Yeah. Kind of like how I ask you questions technically about, you know, setting up the studio and equipment. Yeah. I've hit him up about painting and he's been super nice and receptive answering those questions.
That's awesome.
You know, and it is. And again, obviously I've bought his art quite a bit over the years where I'm a fucking massive fan. And I recommend, if once the world does open up, to anyone in the LA area, he does show like his annual show at Mary Karnowski Gallery, which is in LA, and seeing that this is just a print, dude. This isn't even original. Like the original is like the size of a fucking wall, and it looks like you can step into this world. So to me, yeah, I'm emotionally attached to his work, where it's like I'm fucking invested like a fucking fan, dude. I'm such a huge fan of, like, because there are these worlds that he creates with these characters that are always evolving and changing.
Yeah.
And it's a different form of like watching a show you like in a way. You know, like, I mean, Danny McBride's always putting out cool shit, and I watch almost every project he does, and this is a form of that and just a different visual medium.
So he uses a lot of the same characters almost in his paintings.
Oh yeah, dude, I can point it out. So this is Breeze here. He's always in different stuff. And like a lot of these different characters, the world that they inhabit is called the outside. So it's like, it's an ongoing storyline. That's just this. Yeah, great. That's what I mean. I can't say it without sounding too.
It's like a Marvel universe. It's its own canon.
It is. And that's what I mean. And I've been a fan since before that developed in, like, it was kind of a thing. And but over the years, he's developed into a more concrete. Dude, I honestly think, you know, it's like he'll be considered one of the greatest painters.
Wow.
Because every year he gets fucking better. It's not just, it's impressive. And I'm happy to just to have met him a few times and support his work. Like, I have a few original drawings from him, and he couldn't be nicer, dude. He's a father of 2 fucking talented kids. Like, his son shreds, dude. His son's a skater kid that fucking rips in the fucking swimming pool, dude. They're just a talented family.
Wow,
and again, impressive. Like, he watched my YouTube set, dude, from comedy, and sent me this nice little message saying like how much he liked it. And to me, that's been one of the biggest fucking compliments I've received. You know what I mean? So in my comedy journey, you know, because I've looked up to him, not just obviously in painting, but like as a father and husband. Like he does life properly. Like, he's a fucking cool dude, and I like supporting cool people like you, dude. I support everything you do because you're a nice, cool dude. You do good work. You're really fucking friendly. You always answer my questions out, even how, you know, I know they're like well beyond like.
No, man.
You know.
That's the thing, man. I appreciate that. I've always been, I love creativity, and I love people who do creative shit, and I support anybody because, dude, it's like, that's all that matters is relationships that you build with creative people. Is like, at the end of the day, are you going to be someone that helped contributed to a space, or are you just going to be someone who used it and, you know, left a bad taste in people's mouth? Because, man, I'm sure
it's negative, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure
like, you're a very positive person. Like, every time, I mean, you've had your off days, I'm sure, but you never like let that show when we interact. Like, you're always super fucking cool. And the people in your circle, and I want to bring this up, dude, because he's been killing it, is Mac, dude.
Oh, Mac. Shout out to Mac, man.
Shout out to Mac, dude, because he's one of these people that I just fucking love supporting him. I love seeing what he's doing, and he inspires me. Same with you. That's like, hey, man, these guys are, and not like in a dickish way, like, but in a competitive, like, sport way, like, hey, man, this guy's killing it. I want to fucking up my game.
Yeah.
And again, I just had some of Mac's meal. It was the first time I had them, and they're fucking delicious.
He's a talented kid, man.
He's super talented, super fucking uplifting. Like, every time I'm around him, I'm like renewed with energy. Like, hey, man, I'm going to go work on this project. Like, Mac's, he's always working, man, or seemingly. Fucking kickball league or Mac, you know, it's like, dude,
he just texted me yesterday and he was saying that kickball's coming back, and I'm just like, all right, Mac. He's like
driving back. I'm on my way.
He has golden retriever energy where it's just like, bro, you're such a little light and always just he's a good dude. And that's the thing, man, is I'm that way with people who ask for help. And I know they're good people. I'm like, these are the people that should be making it and who should be, you know, pushed forward. But
I always kind of feel like I'm bothering you. That's why I like limit my questions. But they're like, oh, what do you think of this mic or what? But I'm just so I don't know, dude. Honestly, like, most of the shit I've gotten has not worked. Like, I shot like 8. I think it's been 8 interviews, and only like 5 of them have worked.
Bro, well, you never have to not feel like you can't ask me a question. You can always DM
that's right.
me,
like,
and
after you answering the first couple, it's like, okay, Evan's cool. I'm not bothering him. And the same with like Crayola. It's like, I know like he's cool and has reached out to me, but I don't overreach. Like, you know what I mean? Like shit like that, where like people can make it weird, where it's like, You know what I mean? Like,
I heard it actually very well put on a podcast recently with Andrew Santino and Neil Brennan. Neil Brennan said it when people ask you to wash their dishes. That's what like the metaphor is when people ask way too much and they want you to do all the work that they could do. Like that's the thing is I'll help anybody with something that they need help in. But if someone keeps asking me questions that I feel like I'm doing all the work for them. They're just taking. It's just like, dude, you got to wash your own dishes. I'll help you with everything, but like wash your own dishes. Don't ask me to do this stuff. You know, like if you randomly ask me, be like, hey, Evan, what kind of beard or dog groomer do you use? You know, like stuff where it's just like every day you're just like, hey man, what do you think of hammers? And I'm just like, you're the construction guy. No.
Well, that's what I mean. Like every day hitting somebody up, but like every once in a while I'll be like, hey man, like checking in. See, so I've met a few like other comedians. They're like made guys, you know, they're working with big time people. And I've had phone conversations with them and they've given me advice. And what I've actually done a lot of that. That's like doing my show, doing other content that I've created was advice from them. And in a few months, like after I build this a little more, I'm going to call them back and be like, hey man, it's been about a year since our conversation. I did what you said, just checking in, dude. Like maybe can you check out my content? But I don't feel like that's overreaching. It's just like, hey man, I did what you said.
Yeah.
In our last conversation last year, you know, am I on the right track? You know, just getting feedback from somebody that you look up to. But again, I'm always wary of that. Like, hey, don't, because again, it's up to you, dude. Like what we do, like you're saying with swimming, it's like, it's not a group fucking sport, dude. Like stand-up comedy or doing this, like building a following which is weird to fucking say. Like that's been the weirdest thing for me is like, you want fans.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of this dickish, narcissistic, like sort of thing where it's like, never really thought that way before, but like now that we're comedians and like this is what I want to do professionally. And I do like entertaining people. But like to be like, yeah, dude, I want fans and building. It's like, you know, to do it nicely, which again, I'm talking to you like this and promoting nice people and hopefully I come across that way. Who knows? Maybe somebody's watching this like, what a piece of shit.
No.
Rose. Is that going to show up? My name is
No,
Rose
your name is not. His Zoom name is Rose. So it's alias. No, I don't think that at all, man. I think it's authentic and it's normal. I feel imposter syndrome all the time when people tell me that they like the podcast or that they listen and this stuff helped them. And I'm just like, what? Like, how did I help in any way? Or how did this happen? And it's normal. I think it's weird. And I'm sure you know comedians like this or people who come around every now and then where they want to be a star. They want fans. They think they're better than everybody. And it's just like, you got it all backwards. Like you're trying to take from it instead of give to it. Cause like, dude, the best thing for me, dude, the best compliments I've got after shows are when people are like, I had such a rough week and just, you were able to make me forget about it for, you know, while you're on. And it's just like, fuck, like,
wow, that's a great compliment, dude.
Dude, it's a service in a lot of ways and I enjoy it. And I, you know, that's why I love just helping people. Cause it feels good. That's the secret to helping people. It just feels fucking good, you know?
For sure. And it definitely feels better than being a fucking asshole to somebody for no reason. Like saying something nice about somebody's set or doing what you said, like your goal. And I assume that seems like your vibe too, is like your goal is to entertain people. And that was your goal, like make them forget about their troubles for that amount of time. I mean, I've written that in my journal, like, hey, that's my goal. Having good sets, making people laugh, like their laughter in exchange for paying my bills, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't, and again, to go back to what you're saying, it's like, fame and famous, like, dude, I don't think I'd really want to be Dave Chappelle famous, dude. I think that would fucking kind of suck. Like, I think mid-level fame would be fucking great, where you're a working comedian, you have a podcast, some people know who you are, right? Like, dude, Crayola's amount of fame, dude, like, people who know him, but he can go to fucking Walmart, dude. Yeah. He pays his bills as a painter. That's to me, it's like, I don't need to have all the fans in the world, but just, again, like, hey, man, I'm a fan, and they're proud to say that. I heard Bert Kreischer say that, like, a fan told him this, that, like, when the people, as the fan, when Bert did well, the fan felt like he did well. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, and I'm like, whoa, dude, that's pretty fucking rad. And I realized that, like, when somebody I look up to does well, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Did you see that guy on that? Like, when Dave Chappelle even got that role in Stars Born, like, that was like my favorite part. seeing Dave Chappelle act, and he did a fucking great job, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's huge, man. Supporting people. And that's my original thing, like, of talking about supporting other creative people, is you start getting happiness from other people's success around you. Like, that's
a good point,
dude. It feels so great where, you know, like, even with Mac, you know, I printed, you know, his hoodies for him, got all that done for his business. Sick. And like, we just talked. I love seeing people succeed. And I'm just like, and it's not like I just did the smallest thing, but it's like, it feels good when you know other people you're contributing. Cause I know the opposite. Dude, I've been around some comedians, I won't say names, but I'm sure we can name the same comedians in the Ventura.
We might be thinking.
Yeah. That I've seen them want to be the best person on the show. I've seen them have, you know, shittier opening acts so they look like the star. I've seen them try to suppress people and ruin people's relationships and just like do fucked up things. And I'm like, you are gross. Like, that's just a gross way to live.
It's a weird, so not just in our scene, but that was the most surprising thing since doing comedy. Not that I've been doing it too long, but it's like the amount of weird drama behind the scenes. Like, dude, we're telling jokes trying to entertain people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to and that's why I like, you know, hanging out with people like you. It's a bummer you left, but like you and Ben Rudy and like other folks were just focused on that. Dude. They're focused on their set and like giving you taglines, dude. Like, that was the other thing. I'm not like, when certain people like, you know, would be like, hey man, good set. And you fucking could see them from the stage. And like, I know you weren't fucking watching, dude. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like, you'd be like, hey man, good set. I like this joke. So it's like, oh, he fucking not only was watching, but he was listening and was like, hey, he has this tagline. Ben Rudy, dude, shout out to Ben. Like I said, I like hanging out with Ben. He's a good dude. He would have good taglines a lot of the time. And to me, that was fucking fun, dude. Like, like being like, hey, Evan, that joke about the fucking hurricane and the way you did that, because you would do an act out or something. You can always be like, hey man, maybe you can try this.
Yeah. And
as a fan, and it's just like, that shit was fun, dude. And like you're saying, where people are like rooting for someone to fail so they do better. It's like, I'm not with that shit, dude. Because to me, I do have the mentality. This goes back to my sports shit. And it's just fucking dumb, ingrained male bullshit. But it's like, I do want to be the best dude on the fucking, but I don't want you to fuck up to be the best. I want, like, oh, Evan just did good ahead of me. Like, I got to do better. And then I come off stage and Connor's up next or whoever's up next is like, all right, motherfucker, let's see. Come on, let's do it. Let's go. And then it's more like a fucking, this is a team. Yeah. We're individually going up to bat like in baseball, but we're a team putting on a show for the crowd, right? Yeah. So if four people have a fucking kick-ass set, that's better for everybody.
It's a great show.
A friend, more fans, more or whatever. The crowd's better.
Great experience overall. Yeah.
Yeah. What it's like, hey man, it can be done. That competitive shit can be done because I used to try to just like not think that way, but then I'm like, hey man, I'm working on it, but it's just that fucking male brain shit I can't really shake. So I try to focus it on with like people I can trust doing it with. Like Connor, dude. Connor is my boy, and I know I can go and joke with him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And not like, hey, dude, try and follow that. Like, I don't mean like that, dude. I just mean like, hey, man, I'm going to go give my best effort. I want to see you go give your, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't go up there wasting your time and just bullshit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, come with your A game. I'm coming with my A game.
No, I love it.
And it makes get better together.
It makes you get better. Exactly that.
That's what I mean, dude.
And I think, honestly, man, that's one thing about the Ventura comedy scene. I haven't been part of many scenes, but it is such a good scene in the sense of the community. You know, everybody cares about each other. Everybody, and that's what you need. It's an individual sport, but it's like you need a community. You know, and kind of.
Well, dude, when you're coming off stage and like, hey, it doesn't always go well, and you know, like I can go stand next to you, and like you'll still be my friend, or like, you know, Connor, it's like, hey man, that was not good. You know what I mean? And it'd be like, he just bones it out. Either way, it's like, hey, we're gonna hang out here and fucking, we're buddies either way, dude. It's like, it's a fucking hard thing, dude. I had a fucking fireman tell me how brave or courageous doing stand-up is, and it's like, it's really not. Like, you know what I mean? It's a different, you know, fireman. Like, you're fucking brave and courageous, dude. If I fuck up, there's no real consequences. Other than people don't like me or people don't laugh.
You just feel like shit for a little while.
Yeah, but it'll go away, you know, like nothing horrible. And again, having the community, like you said, to fall back on in a way, it is nice, especially when you're first starting out, dude, because say you had to do road gigs and you did 5, 6 shitty shows in a row, and you go to a back of an empty room with no one being like, hey man, you don't worry about it, bro. You're funny. Yeah. It's like, dude, artists, bro, in general, not just comedians, they're sensitive. They might not let on like me. Like I like to say, maybe you won't think it, but it's like, no, dude, like, hey man, like it can get to me. Like, hey dude, if you don't like me, why don't you like that? Like that part of your brain, dude, I think everyone has it, and we just have to kind of turn it off. Yeah. And then when we get positive feedback, it's like you're like, dude, we need positive feedback as comedians. Like if you went up and bombed every fucking time from the first mic on, it's like you're not doing it right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've tried to take an objective approach with bombing and like joke writing, to where if something doesn't work, I'm like, okay, it's somewhere in the material, it's somewhere in the preparation. So I'm able to diffuse the emotional side of me, because when I would start bombing in the beginning, I'd be like, fuck, they don't like me. I'm shitty at this. But it's like, no, I had to get objective with it and be like, okay, well, was the preparation there? Was the delivery there? Have I been writing enough? Like, you know, like, and looking at it objectively of like, how would I get this better? You know? Sure. And that's like taking a lot of the emotion out of it.
You would do that for sure. And then again, having like, I call them allies, dude. Like, hey man, how was, like I come ask you, or I'd ask Ben, or I'd ask Connor, like not everyone, I'm not fucking surveying the whole room, but I'll come up to like, 3, 4 dudes that I think are funny, or that I'm like, hey, I knew we're fucking watching, like, dude, how was that? Was that all right? Yeah. Because again, sometimes, dude, and the way we do comedy, like the dive bars, dude, like your material could have been fine. Like I remember doing one spot, did the exact same set, same night, went down the road to, I think it was the fucking Thirsty Ox. And I had a good set, auger, with the same jokes, and then fucking bombed worse than I'd ever fucking bombed at the Ox with the same fucking jokes. But it just like it came out weird. It came out choppy. It wasn't as smooth. Yeah. So it does happen, but like it's fucking brutal sometimes. And again, having your buddies in the audience, like, yeah, it's all right, dude. Yeah. It wasn't good.
Yeah. Did you write? Have you been writing at all through the pandemic? Has it changed up?
Sure. Yeah. At first, not really. Like when things really shut down, it was pretty like a fucking major bummer, dude. Just like, goddamn. Like at first I did. It was like, all right, I'll just write and we'll just get all this material and test it later. And then it just fucking kept going on and on. Yeah. And then we came back for a bit, and then it fucking went into the second lockdown. So there was like waves. There was like ebbs and flows. Yeah. Where I did come up with like 10 or 15 minutes and then open for Josh Adam Myers and Laura Beats, I think is how you say her name.
Yeah.
She was just on Joe Rogan. Yeah. And I did that at the end of last year, and then that was like the second shutdown. So I stopped for a bit, and then now I got maybe I probably got a solid few new jokes since then, like testing them in local openings. Then I got a couple shows coming up. I don't know when this airs, but I got a show coming up the 23rd. And then
this will be out by this afternoon.
Oh, bitchin'. So yeah, the 23rd of this month, I'm in Port Wainimi with a bunch of local cool comedians. And then I believe I'm also on the bill with Jeremiah Watkins on May 1st at Gigi's with Artie and those guys.
Phenomenal. Artie booked some good acts.
Yeah, dude. And that's another dude I like pick his brain on, like, because he's had a lot of success. And same with Jake's been fucking doing real well. I look up to those guys. They got more experience, and they've been real cool to me, teach me how to do stuff.
Yeah, Jake Gallo puts together a great show at Levity.
He does.
Yeah, man.
Levity. Well, there was this lad. He's been doing Pizza Chiefs about once a month, dude. He's gotten like Sam Tripoli came out, and
nice.
Matt Edgar, Rachel Wolfson were there for a show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Willie Simon and Ron Taylor, I believe, were the last two.
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Willie.
Well, shit, man. I think we just did about an hour and a half.
Sure.
Man, thank you for being on here.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun, dude.
Plug your podcast again, where people can listen to it and watch it.
Sure. I'm working on putting it on audio, but right now it's just on YouTube. Okay. Just you type in Russell Samler's the channel name, and then Boomtown Chronicles is the show name. Instagram is Rooster Red. I don't know if you want to put that in the description or whatever. Yeah. I also have links to all that stuff there, and then also shows. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun, man.
Of course, brother. It's been nostalgic. It reminds me of before the pandy when we were all together, and
you got me kind of sad because you're gone now.
Well, I'll come back out.
We'll have to
every now and then.
Zoom. Well, no, we'll have to Zoom more so I can feel at home.
Every day, let's start Zooming. 10 a.m.
I don't know about everything. When we talk about that, don't do my dishes thing. Or...
I'm like, I'm patching this
up.
up.
Stay in Texas, maybe once a month, you know.
But all right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the podcast. Check out all of Russell's stuff. And don't forget, I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks, man. It's been fun.